In the heart of a small town stood an old bookshop, its wooden door painted deep blue and golden letters above it, reading Ethan's Book Haven. The shop was owned by Ethan, a charming young man with warm brown eyes and a smile that could melt anyone's heart. He loved books more than anything, and his little shop was a haven for readers and dreamers. But what Ethan didn't know was that right outside his shop, on the large ancient oak tree, lived a witch. Her name was Seraphina. She wasn't the kind of witch who wore a pointed hat or flew on a broomstick. She was young, beautiful in a mysterious way, with silver hair that shimmered under the moonlight and eyes like glowing emeralds. She had lived in the tree for centuries, watching the town change, but never had she been so drawn to someone as she was to Ethan. Every night she watched him through the bookshop window as he arranged books, helped customers, and read by candlelight. She knew she shouldn't feel this way about a human, but she couldn't stop herself. She had fallen in love. One evening, she decided to enter the shop. She disguised herself as an ordinary woman with flowing black hair and a long red dress. When the bell above the door rang, Ethan looked up and smiled. "Welcome," he said kindly. "How can I help you?" Seraphina's heart fluttered. "I am looking for something magical," she said, her voice soft like a whispering wind. Ethan chuckled. "Then you've come to the right place. Books are the greatest magics." They talked for hours. Seraphina felt warmth in her heart, something she had never felt before. She thought maybe, just maybe, she could reveal who she truly was. But before she could, something changed everything. A young woman entered the shop. She had golden hair and eyes full of light. Her name was Alara. Ethan's face brightened the moment he saw her. Seraphina watched as Ethan greeted her with more warmth than he had ever given anyone. "Alara, I saved a book for you," he said excitedly. Alara smiled. "You always know exactly what I need." Seraphina clenched her fists. She could feel the air around her grow heavy. Was this love? Was this jealousy? She had never felt such emotions before. She wanted Ethan to look at her the way he looked at Alara. For days, she watched them together. Ethan and Alara laughed, shared stories, and spent time in the shop. Seraphina's heart ached. She had waited centuries for love, and now, when she finally found it, it was being taken from her. One night, as the wind howled through the streets, Seraphina stood in the shadows, watching Ethan and Alara inside the bookshop. Her hands trembled, and a dangerous thought crept into her mind. "What if she disappears?" she whispered. She had the power to make it happen. She could cast a spell, make Alara forget Ethan, or even make her vanish forever. But as soon as the thought crossed her mind, she gasped. "No," she told herself, "this is not love. Love is not about taking. It's about giving." But then the twist came. One evening, Seraphina overheard Alara talking to a friend. "Ethan is sweet, but I don't love him," she said. "I just like how he makes me feel special." Seraphina's eyes widened. She turned to Ethan, who stood a few feet away, hidden behind the bookshelf. He had heard everything. His face was pale, his hands clenched. The light in his eyes dimmed, and for the first time, Seraphina saw sadness on his face. That night, Ethan sat alone in the shop, staring at nothing. Seraphina watched from outside. Her heart ached for him. She wanted to comfort him, to tell him that he deserved true love, and so she made a choice. She stepped into the shop, this time without a disguise. Ethan looked up, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Seraphina?" he whispered. "Is that really you?" She nodded. I have always been here, she admitted. I have watched you, cared for you, loved you from afar. Ethan stared at her, taking in her silver hair, her glowing green eyes. Instead of fear, there was wonder in his gaze. You love me? Seraphina hesitated, then nodded. Yes, but love is not about forcing someone to feel the same. Love is about being there, even when it hurts. Ethan smiled softly. Then you understand love more than anyone. As the candlelight flickered between them, something changed. The sadness in Ethan's eyes faded, replaced by something new. Curiosity, hope. And in that moment, Seraphina realized she didn't need magic to win his heart. Love, after all, was the greatest magic of all.